Hey there, this is Andy from What's Happening. I am here with Tony Golovich from GreatAmerica. How you doing today, Tony?
I'm doing very well, Andy. How are you?
I'm great. Good to see you as always. I wanted to check in on GreatAmerica, one of our favorite leasing companies, and just find out what's happening. It's been a little while. I chatted with a couple of your execs in the middle of last year. Checked in to see how everyone was doing. But you guys are all over the place, and so tell me what's the word at GreatAmerica? What's everybody up to? How's everyone doing health wise?
Well, uh, we've been now in the business for this November will be 29 years, and things are going quite well for us now. But coming, last March, almost a year ago, things have changed, and while we always make plans. So, we plan for 5 years ahead. Obviously, with emphasis on the next year, and then we always make plans so we know what to do and how to prepare ourselves for the future. When the COVID struck, we put together three possibilities, a plan that would encompass three results. One was what we felt was going to happen with some optimistic, hopeful scenarios. The other plan was that a little bit more serious scenario, and the third one was really a scenario that would have been a very, very challenging scenario for us. Now, almost a year later, I'm looking back, and actually we've done a lot better than even our best case scenario. Of course, COVID has affected us. It affected, obviously, our customers. It affected us. But looking back, the consequences have not been dramatic, and we're doing quite well. I'm very, very pleased with the way we performed through this. Our volume obviously suffered. We depend on our customers, and our customers' volume is down. So our volume has suffered, but not as much as we expected. Actually, the one thing is, although it's very, very hard to determine that, but I think that we have actually gained some market share. And although our volume is down, I think we have actually gained some market share, during this scenario. So now looking back over the past 12 months, the volume is still down somewhat, but not substantially. And our delinquency is a little bit higher than we would expect. Our losses are higher, but not substantially. Our cash flow is very strong. Our balance sheet is as strong or stronger than ever. So there's not a lot to complain about.
So let me take a little bit of a step back, because a lot of my viewers, they know your name, they know you as a leasing company, a partner of dealers, resellers, office equipment resellers, and other areas. But you're a very different organization. You're not your typical bank, and I think there's a lot of value in the viewers here maybe understanding who you guys are and how you started this and when it started. So why don't you take a step back and maybe give me a little bit of that story? And 29 years ago, what happened? You opened up this organization.
I was lucky enough that in my career working for others, I was lucky that I was placed to be in charge of subsidiaries of some very large respected companies. When I say put in charge, I was responsible for them. I was never in control, because although these companies were saying the right things, they were saying things like employees are our most important assets. They were saying things like customers come first. And just about everybody is even saying that today. And you know what? I said to myself, right on. Those are the a very important basis for business success. But one thing I found out, that while they were saying those things, What really the most important thing there was next quarter's results. That trumped everything else, and that was more important than employees are most important assets, and customers come first. So I said to myself, and I couldn't change that because I was not in control. I was in charge, but not in control. Somebody else was telling me what my results needed to be and what I had to do to get there. So I said to myself, what about if I would be truly in charge and I could really mean those terms, because I was in charge. So I said to myself, when people say the customers come first, that's very, very true. The customers put the food on our family tables. The customers are the ones who pay for our mortgages. So no question about that. Your customers are extremely important. But I said to myself, I cannot keep my customers happy myself individually. I need to have the right kind of employees who will be able to keep my customers happy. So I said to myself, our employees, I'm going to have a company where GreatAmerica employees come first, because only I'm going to hire only certain kind of employees with certain kind of values, the values of hard work, the values of integrity, where integrity is very important to them. It's not just a bunch of words. The values that the pursuit of excellence is a hugely worthy goal. So I'm going to gather around me those kind of folks, and then I'm going to empower them, and I'm going to motivate them to truly treat our customers as they are coming first. So through employees who are highly engaged employees, and I'm going to be able to have loyal, happy customers.
Well, your employees have that's one thing I can say that I've noticed about you, and it's not necessarily true in this industry at a lot of other companies. But the people that you bring on, they tend to stay. And I've known some of your people over there for as long as I feel like I've known anybody in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been with you the whole time. And it's a tribute to what you're saying here with the culture. And for you to be keeping them in Iowa, I don't know how you're doing that, right? Your headquarters is in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. It's a beautiful building downtown. I've been down to it. You also have another building you were telling me about. What does the other building do again exactly?
It's a disaster recovery center. What we have I would say 6, 7, 8 years ago, we bought a very large one-story building about 5 miles north of our office building. And we equipped it with all the furniture, with computers, telephones, and everything else that. So if something happened to our main office, within half an hour, we could shift everybody else to disaster recovery center, so that we could provide our customers with uninterrupted service, no matter what happens to our building. So we call that disaster recovery center. And it's operational at all times. And even today, now during this COVID thing, while we have some of our folks working in our office building, we have others also working in our disaster recovery center.
So let me ask you, the disaster recovery, you guys were hit by a pretty serious flood a couple of years ago. And how did that help you out?
Well, here's the important thing is, you can look at any kind of disaster. And you can start with a flood, or you can go, I don't know if you've heard of derecho. I never heard of the word inland. It's like an inland hurricane. And I never even heard that anything as such as this thing existed before. But it's an inland hurricane, and that hit Cedar Rapids last year. On the top of this COVID thing, we got hit with this derecho. And Cedar Rapids was like, hit by a nuclear bomb almost. It created a lot of damage. knocked out electricity and internet for a day or so, or actually in some areas for a few days. So you can look at a lot of these disasters like COVID, the flood that happened about more than 10 years ago in Cedar Rapids. You can look at all these disasters and say, oh my God, what am I going to do now? Or you can say, hey, I went through worse problems like that before. When we started our business, we decided to compete with the largest outfit over there, out there, with companies that had huge resources. And you know what? When you go in a business like this, you are going to expect some setbacks, and you get them. And and that you deal with them because you believe in yourself. You're determined to succeed, and you put your frame of mind to say, okay, how do I benefit out of this? I know, you have two choices, right? You can either say these disasters are a huge setback. Now, what I'm going to do, or you can say these are huge setbacks, but how do I benefit from this? How do I go forward? And and it's really a frame of mind. We, as a lot of your subscribers, went against all odds when they started up their business. They went against established competitors. I'm sure we had a lot of setbacks. I'm sure they had a lot of setbacks. Yet they prevailed and became very successful. And it always helps that in these times, in the times when another setback that comes our way, then we start to say to ourselves, boy, I've been through worse than this before. Okay, and this is just another setback. And so now, not only how do I get through that, but how do I get through that better than I was before?
Well, let's talk about that, Tony. Let's talk about that. That's a good segue into maybe talking about the dealer community that you guys support, and you really exist to help, and not just with leases, but in a lot of other areas, and partnering with dealers, creating new programs. So these guys are struggling. The print opportunity is not, at least right now, what it was. And it was in decline to begin with, right? So there are other areas a lot of your customers are trying to expand into. What do you have to say to the dealer channel going forward? They've made, the guys who have made it through this tough year. I think they have an understanding of what they need to do going forward. How is GreatAmerica here to help? And tell me about the opportunities you see.
Well, one is to say to oneself is, what kind of customers do I have, and what can I do to serve these customers better? Without a question, the office equipment industry is at the best flat, and it may be even slightly declining, although that can be debatable. We can talk a lot about that, but it's certainly not growing. One has to start, and obviously this COVID thing has accelerated this process. Working from home, there's a question about the prints that will be made in the future when a lot of people are working from home. I don't think, though, that work from home is going to be as widespread as people are saying it's going to be. In certain industries, yes.
I agree. For now,
there's going to be more work from home. No question about it. There's going to be more work from home. So it's not going to be less, but it's going to be more. Okay, we know that. What's debatable is how much, right? But so without question, this COVID thing is accelerating. This shift of less print. But one thing that your subscribers, our customers, have, and that is to have loyal customers that trust them. Right? They trust them because they service them for many years, and they did a good job for them, and so on. So that's their core asset, right? The core asset now to say, what else can I do for my customers? What's the value I can provide to them? It sort of wraps around my core competencies. one of those values and say, and how can I provide them and do a good job doing that, one of those, core competency is really managed services, like managed print, and then managed services, going more and more and saying, how do I support, if my customers in effect will have more employees working from home, how do I help them support that? You have a whole bunch of issues with that, right? You have security issues, you have a bunch of issues in supporting that. So what do I do and what can I do to help them support that? And that's one thing we did, 11 years ago, we started, a company that was aimed exactly at that. How do we help our customers transition more and more to managed services? Collaborants, Collaborants was a company that express purpose was to add value to our customers. And that's what that's what we do. We think about how do we add value to our customers, not only by good service, not only by ethical treatment of their customers, but how do we add value to them? In addition to that, And Collaborants, for example, is one of them. And since past 11 years, Collaborants has grown quite a bit, not only in size, but also in offerings that we do. And we keep, thinking more and more about how do we help our customers service their customers. So I would say that I think it's very, very important for dealers to say, okay, what else can I provide to my customers? Because they already have the trust of the customer, right? Now to say, what else can I provide for them that I can provide for them competently and do a good job for them? And so one can look at this work from home and COVID as something that's a challenging thing, and it is. But one can also look at it as an opportunity, and to say, how am I going to prosper in the future? I tell you this, Andy, I'm 76 years old, but I'm excited about the future. I know that tomorrow is going to be very different than today. And day after tomorrow, even more different. Changes are coming, and they have been coming all along. But the neat thing is to say, how do we take advantage of those changes? And how do we do even better in the future? It's a frame of mind. And then to say how, and let's do it.
Well, it's been certainly amazing watching you guys over the year. Over the years, you're not the biggest, and in the world of banking, I imagine that is a challenge to a company like you. At least it probably was more challenging, 20 years ago than it is today. Now that you're firmly established with, you were saying, over 600 employees, which I can't believe you have that many employees. It's amazing, starting 30 years ago from scratch, right?
Yeah. There were two of us. Actually, there was one, and then two, and for about 6 to 8 months, there were about 5 or 6 of us.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing. It's amazing to watch this growth over the years, and the loyalty you have built. The culture, I think, plays into that quite a bit. And I don't hear a lot of really great things about leasing companies in general. It's just not something dealers tend to talk about. But when your name comes up, people like you, and it's been a pleasure working with you, having you as a sponsor of our show and everything. I appreciate you taking the time. This was a great interview. I think that people are going to get a lot out of this, and it was great to see you again. I hope we can get together live at some point sooner than later, and we'll go back out to Cedar Rapids and do a visit and a walk through your offices once these travel bans get a little more relaxed. But Tony, it was just great catching up with you. You have a great day, and any last shout outs to anybody?
Thank you very much. I appreciate this opportunity to talk with you and hopefully to be heard by your subscribers.
Well,
thank you.
It's good seeing you, and we'll talk soon. Take care, Tony. Bye-bye.